see.
Okay, and what about exercise?
So exercise in a motivational sense, you just mentioned there, the key thing is trying to find the enjoyment in it. And this is where a lot of people struggle. But, there's so many different ways to exercise, and you've also just got to look at how sort of things work. Like, for example, if you remember when you were learning to drive, nobody really enjoys learning to drive those first couple of lessons when you're all over the place, stressed, sweating. Well, exercise is exactly the same. Most people don't know what they're doing, So, how would you ever go to a real busy gym not knowing what you're doing and expect to feel comfortable? It's not going to happen. Yeah. And then, the whole gym thing, there's so many different ways to exercise. You don't need to go to a gym if you hate it. If you like it, brilliant. But if you hate it, there are other ways to do it, from whether it's parks, home routines, and for you, it's to find what is it that I'm into. And, most people, especially when they're taught properly.
If you really don't have time, like it's really hard to fit it in your busy schedule, what do you do?
Yeah, definitely. I think people overestimate exercise. If I had to do the exercise program that most people do, I'd probably quit after 2 weeks, to be honest. If you told me to go to the gym and sit an hour on a cross trainer on a treadmill, shoot me please. That's, I couldn't do it, you see. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. If you've got 10 minutes, you can do a good workout. If I want to do a 10-minute run, can't get to the gym, run 5 minutes that way out the door, and then run 5 minutes back.
So that's really refreshing to hear, because sometimes people don't bother starting because they have this thing in their mind. If I don't do like the recommended thing, I don't know what they're saying now, it's like 30 minutes per day exercise, then I might as well not do anything at all because I'm just not going to do it. But then the way you're saying it now, that's actually quite motivating for me and for a lot of people.
I think people just forget the realism of the real world, and what you need to be doing in that sense. But exercise-wise, the two main reason people don't exercise is either one, they haven't got time, so like haven't got time for the hour session, well, do 10 minutes, or number two is they feel they always have to go the same effort level. So they're like, oh, I don't fancy going level 15 or lifting weight 10, and as a result they don't do it. But the reality is, if your body is stressed, then it doesn't want to be smashed. You see what I mean? It wants to be sort of given a bit of loving. So the idea is, if you tell yourself, right, instead of my hour workout, I'm going to do 10 minutes at an easy level, 9 times out of 10, you'll outwit yourself to want to do it. And the one time you don't, you probably didn't need to do it anyway. Do you see?
That is so motivating, Ben. I feel really inspired to do some exercise, because I haven't done any. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, and then before that, it was about a month. Because of time, really. I have this sort of system you can use before a session where you rate yourself, 0 to 10. How motivated am I to train? So it could be a 2. How motivated am I to push myself? Minus 2.
And then how important is my goal to me? When you start asking these questions before, you'll get a score. So if you're coming in saying, look, I'm super motivated, I really want to push myself, and my goal's really important, well, then you can start firing up the exercise. If it's the other side of the things, then maybe you should just stretch. And if you keep getting these same scores, then you've got to step back a bit and go, why are you always feeling this way, and so forth.
Okay. Now, I was reading some interesting things in your book here as well. Can you tell us about how emotions affect a person when they're trying to reach certain health goals? Because I know women are very emotional, especially at certain times of the month, and it does kind of affect our behaviour sometimes. Definitely.
The whole idea being that emotions and your goal are pretty much, they're going to come hand in hand in two main facets. One, your emotions are going to determine your long-term behaviours. So if you want to do exercise long-term, you're going to have to find a way to emotionally get it so that you enjoy it to some degree. Because you can force yourself to go January, but if you keep hating it, it's going to drop off by February, March. So we need to get you emotionally so that all your behaviours to help you get you the results are going to be, favourable in that sense. The other side of thing is just the way emotions work when you've got too much stress and negative emotion. The natural outlet is human behaviour is to rely on addictive behaviours. Now, for some people, that's drinking, for some people, it's smoking, but for the vast majority of the population, it's eating food. So, and it's not celery you're eating. When you're stressed, it's always, whatever, chocolates, cakes, and so forth. In normal terms, the very food you're trying to give up is the very food you live on when you're stressed. So it's a little bit like telling a cigarette smoker not to smoke, they're doing it because of the stress involved. So what you have to understand is, if we can bring down your stress levels, then you're going to have less dependency on that food. Because, a lot of people beat themselves, especially women, they beat themselves up so much for having a chocolate bar a day or something. But, when you look at their behaviours, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't go out partying, they don't gamble. So you're thinking, well, there's a lot of addictive behaviours they could be doing.
You have to have a little bit of fun with a bar of chocolate.
And they're down to that bar of chocolate, and then they're trying to give that up too, and then they wonder why when they're stressed, they can't do it to such a degree. So, emotions, to be able to handle that is vitally important for, long-term results.
Okay. And one of the chapters that I found quite interesting is called, did it just go from my mind? Let me get back to it. Hang on. Let me find
the contents page.
Yes, let me find the contents page because I did see something here. Oh yeah, getting in shape is expensive.
So what the section of the book is all about is that it's false beliefs that we have.
Yeah.
They're not right or wrong beliefs, but if you believe it, the more strongly you believe it, the harder it'll be for you to get results. So the idea that it costs a lot of money to
eat healthily, sometimes you don't have to.
It depends on which avenue of healthily you're going down. So, and there are so many ways you can choose. For example, to exercise in the park is free. You know, to find out an exercise routine, just go on YouTube. There's millions of them out there.
Do you think it's just an excuse for people that don't really want to, aren't motivated enough to?
Well, yeah, the idea
go
is
and do something.
Yeah, money can certainly become an issue, but there's probably 100 things you can do before money becomes that issue.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So, if I'm eating a sensitive food, say I'm sensitive to bread, it doesn't cost me anything to stop eating that. That's an experiment I can do.
Does it saves money?
Exactly. Does it cost anything to change the ratios on your plate? It doesn't cost anything there. Where you can find the expense comes is when you go organic food eating. But like I said, there's another 20, 30, 40 things you can do before you get there as experimentation. So I can see why people say that, or they feel they have to have a trainer to get results.
They don't.
The reality is, there's another way to get there. Obviously, if you've got unlimited money, it's going to be easy to do, in some respects. But you still got to get the work done. This is the great thing, or the hard thing about being in shape is that all the money in the world doesn't. You still got to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I met a guy recently who trains 5 days a week with. He got a client who trains 5 days a week, but he's still out of shape. The idea is, the client's still got to eat his meals and still got to train. So
it's great if you can afford a personal trainer and to get all your organic food, but if you can't afford it, there are ways. Everyone can find a way of being healthy and doing some exercises. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today and for all the advice. And if you do want more information, Ben's details are on our website, chrissybshow.tv. Well, after